Student. Joan Wester Anderson has been researching stories of angels, miracles, and heavenly phenomena for many years, and has written several books on the subject, including Where Angels Walk and Where Miracles Happen. We've asked her to share her thoughts with us, particularly on the subject of light and darkness.
In my study of angels, I've discovered that they're not all beautiful beings of light. There's a dark side to angels too. We know this because the book of Revelation in Scripture outlines what happened. In heaven there was a huge fight, and 2/3 of the shining good angels threw the other 1/3 out of heaven and down to earth. They became dark angels. In my mail, there are always stories from readers about the darker forces, things that have happened to them where they met a really evil entity. This too is something to take into consideration. For example, there's the story of Don Span. He fell off a boat. He was not wearing a life preserver, and his driver continued on, not realizing that Don had fallen out of the back of the boat.
And if any of you listening to me have been around the ocean, you know that's serious business. And to be 20 miles offshore in the depth, finder that just a few minutes before told me it was about 80 feet of water. You're in with fish that are big enough to consider you part of the food chain, and I know to be nervous about that. I didn't have a knife, I didn't have a weapon, I didn't have anything to help me out. I didn't have on a pair of long pants to tie the legs and use for flotation. I've been out there, I don't know, I'm going to say 45 minutes. I was thinking about my family, my wife, my children, how they were going to take this news that I was lost at sea.
When Don realized that he was probably going to drown, one of the first things he did was pray.
It's such a temptation to say, God, if you'll just get me out of this jam I'm in right now, I'll be a good boy the rest of my life. I realized that's bargaining with God, and I couldn't do it no matter if I died, and I was totally desperate. I still could not bargain. And so I prayed to God, if as thy will, and if I'm allowed, may I have your permission, God, that I get literally just 1 foot on the sandy beach. And then if I fall over dead, that's fine. But please don't take me this way, if I may ask.
And then Don ran into the darkness. He had a temptation in the water. He had a voice come that was not a heavenly voice, and he knew it.
And then suddenly, this same voice came back the 3rd time, and it was angry. It was a higher pitch, and it was right in my right ear, and echoing. And this voice said, call my name again, and it called John T's name for the first time. Said, Don, John T is not going to come back. That he's not going to turn around. And I knew that was wrong. I knew he would at least turn around when he missed me. He would not go on to Fort Lauderdale and report me lost at sea. He would turn around, and I knew that was not the truth. So it made me very angry. And when he told me to give up, this was the 3rd time, to give up and slide on down, it wouldn't hurt. I kind of looked up over here, and I said, look here, I've told you that I'm going to swim all day and all night. I said, if I'm 10 feet under the water, I'm still going to be moving my arms and legs. I said, you got that, fella? And at that point, I was embarrassed because I realized I was talking to a voice. I mean, I'm by myself out there. And all of a sudden, I heard this deep rumble, blum, 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 and it was the exhaust sound of a boat. And that was old Perseverance. That was my boat. I knew her sound. And so I got thrilled, but I was on my back to save energy. And I said, don't turn over yet. Don't turn over yet. Not yet. And finally I said, roll over now. And I rolled over, and there she was. I had to figure out a way to get out of the way and still be seen, because it's so hard to find anybody or anything in the ocean specifically. If you stop and think about my little old coconut head was the only thing sticking up for 8-mile radius, how are you going to find something this small? And he looked my way 3 times and didn't see me. and I was getting discouraged, and he was coming at 11, 10:30, 10 o'clock, and it was getting quicker. And then all of a sudden I saw John T. lower the glasses and put them back up, lower them, and then he hollered, "John!" And I said, "Oh, thank God he sees me." And I kind of rolled over and I went partially blacked out.
Then, in a nearly tragic twist of fate, the hull of the boat that was about to rescue Don pushed him under the water, and he began to sink.
And I started sliding down towards the center of the boat and back away because I drifted at a different rate than the boat was drifting on the surface. And there was a light over here to the left, and I knew there was no sunshine a moment before. And it was like a filtered yellow light, looking like I was looking through a pitcher of tea. And I was trying to pull on the rope to get myself to the boat with my left hand. I just didn't have the strength to move anything else. And all of a sudden, complusion. It looked just the same as when you're in a swimming pool and you see a million bubbles up there when somebody jumps in on top of you. And I witnessed that, and then I thought, don't fight John T. Let him help you. And I felt a hand on my bicep and a separate hand on my forearm. And I didn't figure out, I said, how's he going to help me get to the boat like that? All of a sudden, I felt hands on my shoulder blades, and I went straight to the ladder just like I belonged there, like a magnet. But I couldn't get my leg up on that bottom rung, which was right about my waist. And I just didn't have the strength. And that takes strength on a good day. If you're having a good time, it's still a tough job to get up. And I was trying to get my foot up there, and all of a sudden I felt a hand on my calf and one on my ankle. And it placed my foot up there for me. And then I felt hands under my hiney. And up I went, just like I was on a hydraulic lift of some kind or another. I just stood up.
Don was whisked to the nearest hospital and treated for exposure and exhaustion. It was only then that he began to fully understand the implications of his miraculous rescue.
John T. comes in. I give John T. the biggest hug going. You can't pay somebody for saving your life. You just, what do you say to somebody? There's no words. They're not, just thank you is not good enough. And then after we greeted each other, and he told me this went from the worst day of his life to the best day of his life, all in the same day. I said, John T., you scared me half to death. Why did you jump in the water? He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, I saw you jump in and you grabbed a hold of me. He said, Don, what are you talking about? I never left the boat. Well, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And all the pieces of the puzzle suddenly came together. This voice that I heard 3 times in the ocean, I actually heard 4 times. That first time was, you going out of the boat this morning, fellow. And if I heard that voice this second, I would recognize it. It was, as far as I'm concerned, it was the devil himself. The helping me to the boat was the opposite end of the spectrum. Jesus' will was for his guardian angels to help me some way, I don't know why, but they did. And I got help to that boat. I call it a blessing. I've experienced the hands-on of a guardian angel, more than one.
If angels bring us messages, what should we do about the dark angels? Do they bring us messages too? Yes, they do, and it's important for us to be able to discern between the two. If we are receiving messages of discouragement, darkness, we can ask God to enlighten us. Let us know. God does not send discouragement to us. His messages are always full of hope and love. So, in discerning these, we need to develop a prayer life so that we can hear his voice and respond to it.
We'll be right back with more miracles, angels, and afterlife.